your pillow, knees are in line with your hips and feet both flat on the floor. And then just tune into your diaphragmatic breathing. So in through the nose, ideally. It doesn't have to be deep, but just try and get that feeling of rising and falling of your belly. And out into the rib cage as well. So if we can keep that diaphragmatic breathing going throughout the whole time of using the OOV, that's when we get the best results from it. And then if we just start with our hugging a tree movement, so out and in, those arms working. We'll just do it with both feet on the ground at the start because I actually want it to feel quite easy, keeping the length in your neck.
Oh, have you got weights?
Yeah, you can choose whether you want to use them at this point. And then changing that to arms overhead, just both arms overhead. And that breathing in to go over and breathing out to come back. So the breath in as you go over and out to come back works in with the vagus nerve. It just is really nice way to get that relaxation. Now, hands facing up to the ceiling and bringing one leg up. And then taking both arms overhead. At which point you may want to drop the weights. It depends how stable you're feeling. Really slow motion if you can. And sticking with both arms, we'll take both arms out wide. Breathing in to take them out. Breathing out to bring them back in. So we'll keep that same leg up. Now change to single arm overhead. So one side and then the other side. One more of those overhead. Single arms. And now it's single arms out to the side, just as far as you can go where you don't feel like you're going to fall off. I always find these way harder out to the side. One more time. And let's switch legs. Bring the other leg up. When you're ready, both arms overhead. Breathing in to take them over. Breathing out to bring them back up. Still allowing that belly to rise. Full. And taking both arms wide. And now single arms overhead. And one arm out wide, one at a time. Glutes are working, the obliques are working, neck stabilizers are working. Now bring those arms down by your side. Bring one leg up and the other leg up. And the arms are there to support you. Just straightening one leg out, bringing it back in and straightening the other leg out. So you decide the higher you go towards the ceiling, the easier it is. And then on each time you do it, see if you can come a little bit lower. You're likely to feel this in the front of the neck as well as the abs. And actually for me, it's the neck that stops me going lower, not my abdominals. Keeping the chin tucked in. And now if we change that to our toe touches, so one foot down, doesn't have to touch the floor, you're just taking it as low as you can. Toes down, coming back up. Let's do 2 more on each side. Closed. This one. I just added one, didn't I? I always do that. And bring the legs down. This will feel very easy in comparison. I just want you to slide your heel away. And so you've got one leg out straight, just leaving it out there. Press the heel into the floor and press it away. And just get that sense of opening up through the front of the hip. So as you let your back flatten onto the OOV, press the heel down and away. If a stretch is needed, you'll feel it straight through the front of the hip. Then bring that leg back up. Try it on the other leg. Opening up through the hip. Should be quite a nice shape to work with. Can you feel that stretch, Jo?
Yes.
Yeah, it's quite nice, isn't it? Yeah, so you should be getting that support of the OOV on the back, but still being to open up. Liz, do you feel a stretch?
Yeah.
Okay, coming back in, raise those legs up again into tabletop and just see if you can bring those arms up, probably without the weights at this point. So seeing if you can balance the hands don't have to go up to the ceiling. It's just working out to keep that balance. That's fine. And of course, if you can balance, then we start moving things. Otherwise, just the act of trying to is working all the muscles that we want. Okay, we'll come back to that. So feet back down, arms up to the ceiling, and our bridging, peeling the bottom up. The OOV will often come with you, but try and bring the hips as high as you can, and then rolling back down onto the OOV. Just do a bit of a shuffle if you need to change your position on the OOV, and then coming up for the bridge. So peel tailbone up, lift as high as you can, open up through the front of the hips, feel the glutes, and then rolling back down through the chest, through the rib cage, finishing with the tailbone, and try and give the back a little bit of an arch. So you might go a tiny bit lower on the OOV than you usually would. Peeling back up again, as high up as you can go, and then rolling back down. One more time, peeling up, and rolling back down. And going into our thread the needle. So you might need your arms for a wee bit of support. It's lifting one leg up, taking it through the other leg. So opening up as far as you can, then coming back up into that tabletop. Threading it through. So if you can do this without hand support, that's what you're after. I've got fingertips just touching. Keeping the breath going, preferably through your nose. And you're working out how far you can go. So how far can you get the foot through? How low can you get the knee? And on this next one, we'll turn it into a stretch. So foot through, knee low, and just hold. Opening up through that hip. Might feel it in the groin a little bit. Nice breaths. And bring that one back to that neutral position with the foot down, and we'll do the other side. So threading the needle first, just seeing if you can go a little bit further each time. And just try and touch the toes rather than having them pushed down on the floor. Then you have to work the muscles a bit harder. You're doing all right there, Liz?
Yeah, breath.
Reaching as far as you can, knee down as low as you can. And on this next one, we'll take a stretch. So this time you can put the foot down and use that pressure to open up through the knee, through the groin, through the front of the hip. And it should feel nice. It might be pulling in all sorts of places, but it should feel quite good. All right for you, Jo?
Yeah, that's such a good stretch.
Yeah. Really nice spot. So a few deep breaths. The breath adds to the stretch because our fascia that goes through the front of the hip also goes up through the diaphragm. Okay, so put that leg back into its neutral position, put on the ground. And now we're doing the opposite. So bring the leg up and you're taking the toes out as far as you can, knee down, and then back up to tabletop. And down. So it's toe touches, but with that internal rotation. And if you're, have we got anyone super flexible? What do you like, Liz?
No,
Are you super flexible, Juliet?
I'm hypermobile. Is that what you mean?
Okay, so you're just, definitely make sure you're just touching, not pushing down on the floor. The other three of us are a little bit stiff. So if you need to just
I'm the old lady.
a sneaky stretch. And so we're taking that foot out wide and then rolling the knee inwards just for a stretch. We're all allowed to put our foot down on the floor now. Using that breath again. This might get more in the outside of the hip, the TFL down. It could even go as far down as to the knee. And let's go on to the other foot. So taking the foot out to the side, tapping it down, coming back up to the tabletop. The foot's out to the side, knee goes down. Quite an awkward motion, but it's really good for us. A couple more and then we'll do the stretch. And go for a stretch this time. So foot on the ground, roll that knee inwards. You're in charge of how far you go. Using the breath. Actually, I've noticed when I'm breathing with a stretch, I often breathe out through my mouth, but breathe in through my nose.
Yeah.
I think that's an old habit. You're doing that too, Jo?
Yep. I can feel that from the top of my ribs. All the way
Yeah.
down to my shin.
Oh, I think that's worthwhile repeating in your own time. So when I said I was recording, I'll only give this to the three of you. It's just our own class and it'll just get us started. Okay, so now feet are still hip width apart. Bring your arms wide and we're just going to do a little bit of a lumbar roll movement. So you're rocking your hips side to side or your knees side to side. But because you have to stabilize or else you'll fall off the OOV, you won't go as far, but you're working those deep stabilizing muscles in through the spine. What you might feel is a little bit of a tug through the deep abdominals on each side. So if I take my knees to the right, I feel it on the left, vice versa. I think it would be worth us doing, actually, no, we'll go, let's roll off the OOV. And grab your bands, put them around the knees. Was I cheeky to give a blue? The blue okay? It's going to be blues.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got it around our knees. Spin your OOV around so that you've got the neck of the OOV where, and that's where we're going to put our hip. And then just resting on your elbow. And as soon as you're ready, we're into our clams. Up and down. Feel okay there, Juliet?
Yep, I think so.
Oh. And I've got such a love-hate for this because you can't cheat. It absolutely hits your butt, doesn't it?
That's what I love about doing it. It makes my body be in a position.
Yeah. So when you're in a mat class, because you've got the knowledge with the OOV, feel free to grab one
Yeah.
and do the side leg series.
Would that be okay?
Absolutely. I just don't bring it up in class because I don't have 15 of them.
No, fine.
And
If you're
also,
not used to it, it would
Yeah.
be quite easy to
Yeah.
fall off it.
yeah. Okay, before we venture anywhere else, can we just put the bands a little bit lower? Feel free to, you might even choose to take it off, but bottom leg is still bent, top leg straight, and up and down. We'll just go 5 up and down, except Joe knows I'm a really bad counter, and then forward and backwards. So forward and backwards, try and keep that same line rather than an arc. Liz, can you get yours a tiny bit higher? Yeah, that's the one. Now take a little rest. We're going to come up and do 5 circles one way, 5 circles the other way. And just make those circles as big as you can, where they still look like circles. Oh, very good. Right, switching sides. So we'll go back just above the knees for our clams. Up and down. And the other side's already worked, so it's tied quicker. Can you feel your bottom side bracing and working, not just the top side? Feel it. Okay. Oh, and the groin. And now take the band a bit further down onto your ankles, preferably. Bottom leg slightly bent, just to keep that support through the OOV. And then straight leg up and down. And we've got our forward and backwards, trying to keep on that imaginary straight line. Very good. And our circles, 5 forward and 5 backwards, but as slow motion as you can go. Lower's harder. And last one, and the other way. That's the one. Right, we'll take the band off. And just put one knee on the neck of the OOV, so the fat bit's out to the side. And then in this position, so you've got a choice here. If you need a bit more stability, keep your foot, the leg that's on the OOV, keep your foot on the ground. If you can, take that foot off. So straightening the leg behind. So as you continue to do that, try and work out how to get equal weight through both hands, which is harder than it sounds. And press away from the mat. Okay, rest that leg down. Have a moment's rest, take the weight off the buttock. Then just hover that other knee off and add opposite arm. And actually, it's the goal, part of it is not moving the leg. Just hovering it so that you're keeping your back. If I put a broomstick on your back, the back is straight. Oh, it's really hard not to move it, isn't it? Some of that's probably habit. Looks like we're all used to doing bird dog. Okay, just another rest. Can you feel how hard that buttock works with the leg that's on the OOV? So we've got one more to do, which is letting the leg move, opposite arm and leg. So you're aiming to keep the foot off if you can, so just the knee on the OOV, but put that foot down if you need to. That's it, just one more time. And before we move that away, let's just take a stretch, just reaching through, opening up through that thoracic spine. And let's go the other way. You'll notice if we move towards the OOV, it's actually easier. You've got more space. When we move away, it's harder. Is that what others are finding? Okay, switch the OOV around. Switch it off. Yes. Quite warm today. Nice. Okay. So the first part was just our hip extension and then trying to get equal weight through both hands. A few more here. And then hovering the knee off and opposite arm. Goodness, this one's a lot harder. Not moving that knee. Not collapsing
Foot off, isn't it? You put down.
Oh, much easier.
Much easier.
Much easier with the foot down, yeah.
Exercise
Then taking a little rest, and we've got opposite arm and leg. Our bird dog. Very good, and we'll just do that stretch again. So let's all go towards the OOV. So we're doing the same thing. Towards the fat part of the OOV, which should be our easier side. Nice deep breaths, breathing into the upper back, So we're using the breath to open up through the intercostals into the rib cage. And even better is breathe into the underside of your rib cage. Send the air over there. And now switching side. I love the fact that you can send your breath to certain parts of your back. Can you feel that, Liz? Yep. Yeah. Very good. Now we're going to sit on the neck of the OOV. And use your hands as much as you'd like to. Ideally, fingers are facing forward and we're flat on our palms, but actually do whatever you need to do. So you might have first, you might twist them round, coming up, and no touches. Start. And coming out of that, sitting up tall, we'll do partial roll down. So finding the shape of the OOV, go part way down and back up. So it's all about the tuck. Let's just add a little bit of rotation with that. So on the next one, taking one hand out to the side, and back up, the other side. And one more time. And now you can choose how far you go, but you might end up going all of the way, depending on how it feels for you. Arms overhead. Actually, let's just take a moment of stretch. So nice deep breath in. And when we come back up, feel free to put the hands behind the head to help your head and neck. Otherwise, let's just build all the way up. And going again. Up and down. And put the hands back for support. Leaning back a little bit further. Bringing both legs up. And it's just tapping to one side of your mat, up, and tapping to the other side of the mat. There's all sorts of stuff happening there. We'll just do one more each side. And feet back, and two more roll downs. Good. And just see how this goes. So keeping in the same position on the OOV, think Z sit. So 1 foot forward, 1 leg back. It doesn't have to be way behind you, just in that Z sit. The being on the neck should just help us with that slight lopsided. And then just coming forward for our glute stretch. And actually, once you come forward, you may not actually feel the OOV under there, but it should act like a yoga block and just plus a wee bit of support. Definitely work the buttock today. Yes. Coming back up, let's test out the other side. How's that feel for you, Liz?
Oh, yeah, good.
Nice. And coming down. That's it. So the front leg's just